So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 11th Research and Innovation Seminar. Today's title will be Smart Communicative City Planning. And we have some guests here who have appeared here before already. So just a few words on the Research and Innovation Seminar series for those who have not been with us before. So
that's my, well, yeah, I can say something.
So please, Dr. Kalle Toiskallio from Aalto University. I'm Matti Hämäläinen from Forum Verium Helsinki. We will be hosting these sessions, and Kalle will now tell something about the Research and Innovation Seminar series.
For those who are first-timers in this Research and Innovation Seminars, about the background, there is a big new project, GreenTwins, that is putting up Smart City Center of Excellence that has already a name, the Finnish
Center for Smart
Finnish
Cities.
Center for Smart Cities, or Finnish Center among friends. Yes, we have quite new logo and everything. And the idea of the whole project and the center is to make academic research that is then applied and sort of having the innovation side. Also, this is a research and innovation seminar, so we are in a way practicing the whole thing in these seminars, and also sort of popularizing research done in the project and in the center. In the project, there are 15 million euros for all kinds of pilots, and at the moment there are 4 large-scale pilots running, and one of the most successful of them is this GreenTwins that we have on table today. We already had one session with them. It was more about technical side, and this time we will concentrate on urban planning in the sense that how it supports participatory parts, how citizens can participate more in urban planning, and especially dealing with these green areas and plants and all that, and green twins also in both green perspective. We have roads, we have buildings digitalized in digital twin models, but not so much green areas and plants and all that, although that is very important, thinking of the impression of city.
And what we want to achieve by this Research and Innovation series in general is to start and maintain a dialogue between smart city developers and smart city researchers. So again, to spread the academic discussion towards city developers, innovators, companies who apply these practices, and again sharing knowledge, sharing best practices, experiences from both sides. So we also hope that the audience here will be part academic and part practitioners, so people who are actually doing impactful innovations either in cities or public sector or in companies related to smart city development. Yeah, I think that's it for us.
Did we say already about the recordings and all that? This is early February 2020, but this will be eternally available in YouTube in our channel.
2022.
That's what I said. Well, anyway, I think we can start with the content. As always, we have a short general big picture presentation by the seniors, Aija, Staffans, this time, and then more precise presentations, and in the end, city representatives. And this time, sometimes we have also company representatives are commenting the thing, and then free discussion is open, and audience is free to write questions in chat and also raise hand on screen. So we will then moderate that. So
for the audience, please feel free to use the chat for any comments or questions. We will be monitoring those and picking up interesting questions for the speakers.
Yeah, so please make interesting questions, so then they will be handled.
Okay, I think that's it for now for us. Aija, please. take the stage.
Okay, thank you, Matti and Kalle. I start with trying to share my screen.
Now we can see this screen are being muted.
Is it now in the full mode?
Now we see you. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So good morning also from Helsinki to this webinar. I'm happy to give these opening words or short introduction to this topic of today. As the guys already mentioned, it is about those large pilots which are ongoing under the umbrella of Finest Center for Smart Cities. The topic is GreenTwins, and it is about connecting built environment, green infrastructure, and people by using technology. To give some kind of whole picture of our large pilot, when I counted yesterday how many researchers and practitioners we have in the project, I was a bit surprised also of the amount, because it is really a large pilot. We have about 15 to 20 researchers, some very younger research assistant and some seniors, and everything there in between, PhD students and postdoctoral researchers. So coming from TalTech, from Aalto University, and also we are collaborating with a high-performance computing center, Stuttgart in Germany. And then we have the City of Tallinn has been very active in this piloting project. So we have from 5 to 10 active practitioners from the City of Tallinn working in this project, and some also input from Helsinki side, but not that active as it is from Tallinn. These 3 bubbles, nowadays we always say that we live in bubbles. Maybe we as researchers also live in bubbles, and I must say that we are really a multidisciplinary group of researchers with different backgrounds. And with this picture, I want to show those different approaches to this pilot. First, on the left-hand side, you can see the bubble where there's digitalization and software. So this part is very typical technology development of the projects. We emphasize the interactive character of software, and we are operating the platform we are developing is called Dynamic Green Information Model. So we are bringing the green environment to this information model, which is the future of urban planning as a digital platform, where everything will be connected, or that is at least what we have in the visions, that these information models are the key to future urban planning. So, and most of you know that in the built environment, the buildings, the information models are already well developed and already in the practice very strongly. But when we talk about the greenery, it comes behind, and we are working there very heavily on bringing this greenery to this world of information models. So this is the technology part, and it was presented in the last Research and Innovation seminar in November. And now today, we focus on this participatory urban planning. So we turn our side to planning processes and take focus on participation, and also then, of course, the use of technology in this context. So the program of today is focusing on this bubble. And then the third one is this green questions of green environment. And there we don't have very much resources on that. I mean, studying the impacts of because this is again a different research methodology which is related to this green environment, but some issues are also ongoing there, especially the green factor development, which brings this evaluation of the amount and character of greenery in the context of preparing plans. So these are those bubbles, and we must also note that they have all these discussions, they have a connection to very different methodological scientific talk or tradition. So the software development is more technology research, and our urban planning tradition is more based on qualitative research. And then this ecological or climate change is more about quantitative analytical research. So also from that point of view, our research diverges quite a lot. Then some words about this communication in the context of urban planning. I think it is very confusing in a way, the use of different concepts like participation, collaboration, communication. Even in our planning theory, I think these concepts are used quite mixed. And what we here want to emphasize as a background to our discussion is that the umbrella concept is communication. Everything is about communication. But then the communication is needed to different purposes, and then the purposes also have an impact of that, what kind of methods are in a way in those different situations considered to be the most suitable, or even so that they can't be, if you take a wrong method in a wrong phase of planning, so it's a mess, and it disturbs the whole process and gives wrong expectations. Here, the first side of this communication is participation. And when we talk about participation, I would like to emphasize it is more about the question of democracy and equity in our society, so that we really want to make inclusive planning and bring people as wide as possible to those discussions of urban planning and of our urban environment. And then the other side of this communication is this when we collaborate. And then when we talk about collaboration, it is then mostly, it happens in smaller tables or smaller groups. And the question is about knowledge co-creation, and also in innovation theory, this collaboration is very crucial. So these are very different communicative situations, what we expect from this communication. And that is something I would like to really keep in the background when we today follow those presentations we have. And also what I want to, if you think about this, the previous, because the methods in these two purposes are really different, still we have to really struggle to not to keep these separate, but try to bridge these two participative aspect and the collaborative aspect. And that is, I think, one of those big challenges of when we talk about participatory or communicative urban planning. How to do it, how to bring that huge amount of data which is produced in participation to those tables where collaboration and this co-creation happens. So this is one of those key research questions. And it always also needs this two-way communication and interaction, which is very crucial in our project. So, and why this collaboration and this is needed, it is that this process of planning always also has a direction. The final goal is to make plans and make urban development. So it is not participation an sich, but it has to also lead somewhere to those solutions. And that is why this collaboration is needed, where things are elaborated and considered carefully. I was very happy when last week in the Finest Exchange Forum, this Signe Ratso, I didn't have the recording, so I couldn't check this, but I remember that she used this word compressing the information. So cities have a huge challenge in compressing all the information they get from people in these participatory processes. So I think she very nicely recognized the big challenge of this participation. How do we are very good in collecting data, I think, nowadays, and the digitalization and internet especially, has really played a crucial role. But then when we go towards this planning, collaboration and preparing solutions, so there is the big challenge, how do we do that? And if some tools, also based on digitalization, which could help us and serve in this process towards better urban environment. Our team today is, we have 3 researchers who give their presentations. Viktorija Prilenska from TalTech presents a toolkit, which actually is wider than what we have been doing in our GreenTwins projects. You have, I think, a wide selection to present us. And I think it would be nice for our audience in a way to reflect what Viktorija presents us towards this, what is actually the purpose, where we use these tools, and are they more participatory or are they more collaborative, or how do you see this question of bridging these 2 sides of communication? And then we have Pilvi Nummi, who is our Aalto University background postdoctoral research, and Pilvi has Pilvi has done her career mostly working on this usefulness questions of using technology in the context of urban planning. So Pilvi will open this challenge. In the theory of planning support science, we talk about implementation gap, which means that there is a lot of technological development, but for some reasons it doesn't reach the practice. And this is why Pilvi's talk today is very important. And then we have the 3rd presentation is from Kristi Grišakov. You work at TalTech, and you will present as one of these concepts to improve this and enable this collaborative talk around urban issues. So this CityHUB, which is under development in the City of Tallinn, is something where Kristi has been very actively working, and with our team, of course. But I think that is one concept which we today want to bring to our discussion. And then we have 2 commentators from the City of Tallinn, Anna Semjonova as an urban planner, and then Ivari Rannama as a head of department from the Department of Urban Planning. So both of you have also been active in our project, and this is, it has been really a nice opportunity to have both the scientist side and then the practitioner side working together in this large pilot, which is our topic today, the GreenTwins. I hope we can offer you inspiring input, and I also expect a lot of active discussion around these presentations. So have a nice morning with us.
So shall I start with the presentation then, or immediately? What's the procedure?
Please do. Are you able to share your screen?
Yes, I am.
Questions will come later on.
Yes, hello, my name is Viktorija Prilenska, and as I already told, I'm a postdoctoral researcher at Tallinn University of Technology, and today I'm going to talk about 2 projects, and both of them are related to participation. So the first, this is GreenTwins, and there is also one project, a wider one, which is dedicated to different participatory tools. So in the way, this GreenTwins, which is focused on developing these new tools, could be some part of this larger project or larger framework. So public participation is a ubiquitous practice in contemporary spatial planning. And the legal requirements which regulate civic engagement in planning are usually limited to public display and public hearing. So any additional activities are usually dependent on the willingness and resources of the local government. Therefore, participation happens intermittently. Firstly, upon initiation of the plan, and secondly, after the planning and design is completed, shortly before implementation. In this intermittent participation process, the role of residents is limited to critics of the ready-made spatial plans. There are various attempts to transfer to the continuous public participation model, where residents are involved early on and continue participating throughout the whole planning cycle. In this continuous participation model, residents take a proactive role and transforms from critics to co-creators of spatial plans. My next slide. This continuous participation model urges for elaborate and diverse stakeholder engagement approach. And the engagement process can be conceptualized in 5 simple steps, which result into a public participation plan. And these steps are, first, know your stakeholders. In this phase, you identify relevant stakeholder groups, current and future. You think of stakeholders' needs, wishes, roles, and capacities. You think also about possible outreach channels. You contact stakeholders and negotiate their participation. And also, important step, you inform the stakeholders about potential drawbacks and benefits of their participation. In the second step, you usually define your goals. This step is usually not discussed. Actually, these participation goals and vision of participation are really rarely discussed. And I think we should emphasize the need to discuss together with the stakeholders what are the goals of participation. The goals can be many and they can vary, but most common stakeholder engagement goals usually include informing stakeholders about the forthcoming plan, collecting contributions or experiential information, which shapes a knowledge base for the forthcoming plan. As I said, we are quite good with collecting knowledge, resolution of different spatial conflicts, and also, the last but not least, the development and investment of social capital. And this goal relates to building the community of active stakeholders and active citizens, who in later phases could take active role in discussions of planning issues. In the third step, you usually design your participation strategy. You pick a method of participation that you are going to use. And this methodological choice depends on many criteria. So here I listed 8 most common criteria, which are the number of participants, the geographic scale or thematic scope of the plan. Is it a master plan for the city, or is it just a small design of a square or a public space? Also the planning phase in which participation takes place. Is it pre-design phase? Is it a design phase? Or is it already post-evaluation of the plan? The level of stakeholder engagement, how deep you want the stakeholders to be engaged in the process. Do you want them just to be informed, or do you want them to actively collaborate in developing some planning solutions? Also, it depends on the mode of communication with stakeholders. Is it face-to-face or online? About the skills and resources required from the stakeholders. For example, do you want them to be digital savvy, or do you want them to be some kind of experts? Or is it okay if you just consult the users of the space? And also an important feature, the knowledge needs and the mode of working. How do you want to work, and what kind of knowledge do you want to produce in the process? The fourth step is data collection and analysis. And this step is important if one of your aims or one of your goals was collection of information. So if you collect some data, then you end up with a sample of information, and this data can be of qualitative and quantitative nature. For example, you may launch a questionnaire to find out what are the interest points in the city. and you get a collection of dots and points. But then you need to understand the meaning of these dots. And then you can conduct interviews with local residents to find out why these interest points attract them. What are the activities they are doing in this space? What qualities of the space do they value? And then you can build upon these qualities and develop the city further. And the last step, but not least, is step number 5, evaluate the results. When we were making our project, we had a lot of discussion about this final evaluation phase. It seems that it's quite important for the researcher, the final step where you reflect back on the whole process, but in practice it's not that common. And what we want to emphasize is that it's crucial to reflect of what you have done and ask the following questions. Did you manage to achieve goals outlined in the beginning? Did you manage to engage diverse stakeholder groups? And were the stakeholders satisfied with the process and its outcomes? And based on these answers to these questions, you may brainstorm how to modify your civic engagement strategy in the future. So further in the presentation, I will elaborate a little bit on the importance of picking diverse participation methods to address different target audiences and knowledge needs. And this is very much related to the GreenTwins project, because in GreenTwins, we are developing this some sort of ecology of tools. It's not just a single tool, but these are diverse tools. And the reason we are developing all these diverse tools is it's because we want to address all these different needs and offer different types of co-working together. So as Aija Staffans already mentioned, this is kind of her concept. Professor Aija Staffans conceptualizes spatial planning as a series of diverging and converging communicative actions. So in this diverging phase, you open up to multiple voices and perspectives to create new knowledge and ideas. And that's what Professor Staffans called participation phase. And then in this converging phase, which was entitled as collaboration, you close down to assess the value of these generated values and ideas, to prioritize them, to make the hierarchy of them, and to devise action plans. So in this way, participation methods can be positioned in 4 quadrants, depending on convergence or divergence of knowledge, and also the mode of work, either it's in big groups or in small groups. The distinction between working in big and small groups is made to emphasize the difference of communication opportunities between the stakeholders. So big groups foster participation, so you can reach out to many diverse stakeholders, but maybe the opportunities for dialogue is not that broad, because in big group, not everybody can be heard, but everybody can participate and bring his or her contribution. Whereas small groups, they foster dialogue and empathy building, and thus they are more suitable for this collaboration and hearing each other and talking to each other. So, and we want to emphasize that it's important to, when devising your public participation plan, it's important to pick the methods which fit all these 4 categories. So the example above shows a sample of face-to-face and online methods that you can pick to fill all 4 quadrants and thus develop all this holistic and all-encompassing participation strategy, which fits different stakeholders and different produces different types of knowledge. For example, you can see that while diverging in big groups, you can produce diverse knowledge or ideas for planning. So, and then when you diverge in small groups, you elaborate kind of a structure and organize knowledge and selected ideas. So, and then if you converge in small groups, you integrate and develop these ideas further on in a collaborative way. So, and this is suitable for both face-to-face and online. And in our GreenTwins project, you can see that we are developing the whole ecosystem of tools. And as I already mentioned, this ecosystem is meant to meet all these diverse knowledge needs and mode of working. So we are creating virtual green planner for divergence and convergence of ideas in big groups. And this tool is suitable for large-scale master plans and discussing the large-scale visions of the areas. And it's meant for everybody to participate, to discuss, to explore. And then we are developing two other tools. This is the Urban Tempo and the Hub. And the Urban Tempo and the Hub, they both are meant for divergence and convergence in small groups. Whereas Urban Tempo is more online, then the Hub is more a face-to-face method where you discuss in big room with a group of stakeholders. And all this ecology of this tool is supported by the digital plant and CityGML ADE databases. So that's in short what we do. And if you're interested on this methodological diversification for more methods, you can consult also kind of a collection of tools. So we have also developed a small toolbox and it's available online. So at participatory.tools. So this is a small selection which contains 32 different methods, and we are going to also position our kind of GreenTwins methods in this toolbox as well. And it also offers 9 different filtering categories, which helps you to select the methods and to draw a better participation strategy in the end. So to conclude, the main takeaway of my presentation would be that it's essential to mix different tools which address diverse audiences and knowledge needs. But remember that participation is not only about producing and collecting contributions and doing the analysis, but it's also about strengthening local communities, which transform from passive to active actors of change. Thank you very much on behalf of the GreenTwins team.
Thank you, Viktorija. Oh,
that was in line.
We're talking in duet. Go ahead.
So, Pilvi Nummi, please, about usefulness.
And for the rest of the audience, feel free to, again, write down comments or questions. So we'll have a discussion at the end. For now, we'll go one by one through the speakers.
Or write them in the chat. Or do both.
Pilvi, go ahead.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, the usefulness of new communicative planning tools.
We can see you and your slide.
So, and welcome back.
Thank you. I'm just checking if I click on some other window here, does it change the view? No.
You still see the...
No, it's presentation mode. It's
very good. Slide. Thank you. Okay. Sorry about this. So my name is Pilvi Nummi, and I'm a postdoctoral researcher in Aalto University, and I have a dual affiliation in Tallinn University of Technology as well. My presentation is about usefulness of new digital tools for communicative city planning. In the GreenTwins project, we have carried out a comprehensive user research process to understand the user needs for the tools that we are developing. Aija mentioned the implementation gap between technology-driven development and the users, and we are actually trying to bridge that gap in our work. I will reflect on how the tools can be useful for urban planners and active citizens, which are the most two main user groups for our tools. Even if we ourselves as researchers think that we are developing great and useful tools, we should keep in mind that the users do not share our thoughts. They may not even feel that they need our tools. So that's why we are doing user research in this project. Before we go to the tools, let me explain what we mean with usefulness. In human-computer interaction, usefulness is used to describe how well the tools can meet the user's needs. In this sense, a usefulness consists of utility and usability. Utility is about the fit between the task and technology, meaning that the features of the tool have to fit to the task or activities of the users. Meanwhile, usability is about how efficiently, effectively, and pleasantly the user can accomplish their tasks with the tool. To measure or test the usability requires the tools to be available, of course, for testing. In our case, we are actually not yet in that phase, and that's why we are focusing on the utility part of the usefulness, meaning that how can the tools support users' activities within the context of urban planning? And to be able to do this, to assess the utility of the tools, we must have an understanding of the people who are the users of the tool and what are their characteristics, what are their activities and goals, and in what kind of context do they use the tool, and what kind of opportunities and constraints does technology offer. The concept we are developing in GreenTwins is a planning support system, which supports smart and communicative planning. We are not talking about one tool, but a set of tools and methods to be used to support collaboration and participation in planning processes. Therefore, we call it Communicative Planning Support System. The concept includes not only the tools, but also methods for managing the planning process and communicative activities, as well as managing the content created within the processes. The GreenTwins tools form a collection of tools that support each other. The dynamic information model is a central part of the system. We call it Digital Plant Library, as it includes intelligent algorithmic-based plant objects that can be used in these digital tools, co-design and simulation applications. In addition, a physical city planning hub that will be developed in Tallinn will enable these tools to be used in interactive workshops. To understand how these tools could benefit the users, we decided to engage the users in the development process from the very beginning. We started by identifying user groups and the information needs of those users. We organized a series of workshops, which included a survey to gather information. We have analyzed the data in collaborative research workshops, which have resulted in an understanding of user needs and how GreenTwins tools could meet them. In other words, what would be useful for the users. In urban planning, there is a wide spectrum of different stakeholder groups, and they have different perspectives to planning and participation. In this presentation, I will now focus only in the two main user groups, which are the active citizens and urban planners. Active citizens are those who have a desire to make a change, make their living environment a better place. They emphasize communication more than planning itself and are motivated to participate and even make bottom-up initiatives to impact on urban planning. They are looking for tools to be used for creating and promoting their own or collaboratively created ideas. Ideas that would make people's everyday life better. That's their motivation. Planners instead, they are motivated by making better plans and being able to accomplish their tasks with less effort so that they actually can focus in planning. They emphasize knowledge-based debate, which means that the tools should provide facts and figures about the plans to be discussed with different stakeholders. They want to understand local stakeholders' needs, and they seek for gathering local experiential knowledge and feedback for their plans. But they focus on formal plans, which means that plans created bottom up by the citizens do not at the moment find their place in the official planning processes. Apart from that, planners see themselves as advocates for the public interest and want to ensure that participation is representative. They understand the value of green environment and often have to defend it. As you can see, these user groups have very different needs towards the digital tools. We have to admit that this is a challenge to meet the needs for both of these user groups. But now let's look closer to certain features that GreenTwins tools based on the user research results can provide for the users. We know that urban green is an essential quality factor of urban environment. Both planners and active citizens value livability of the living environments. Greenery influences visual perception of the cityscape and contributes to the local identity and supports ecological sustainability. Our tools can help planners to promote the values of green by providing tools for visualizing and analyzing the impacts of green elements. The digital plant library provides algorithmic plans for the co-planning application to be used for analyzing, for example, the green area factor, which is an indicator that expresses the relative proportion of green area in an area. With the simulation tool Urban Tempo, the value of green can be analyzed visually in virtual reality. And the City Planning Hub provides a place for debate over the value of green. If we then think about the requirement for knowledge-based debate, which was strongly emphasized by planners, GreenTwins tools can support this if we enable the users to get also quantitative information of the plans. This means that in the co-planning application, we need to calculate figures, like for example, how much there is new building in the plan, or how much does the green infrastructure cost. The digital plant library helps us to do this by providing information about the plant objects placed in the plan for the calculations. The hub again is the place for collaboration where this data is brought together for debate, like for example in this picture. And the simulation tools inspires knowledge-based discussion by visualizations and helps in creating shared understanding. It is evident that active citizens want not only to participate, but also to really be involved in the planning process. This means that they should not only to be listened, but also to be given the possibility to participate in analyzing impacts of plans from their own perspective, of course. They should be able to participate in those questions that are relevant for them. Someone is interested in the visual appearance of the city, and someone considers the ecological or, for example, cultural impacts more important. With GreenTwins tools, we can support analyzing different impacts of a plan. The simulation tool enables the user to see and analyze how the green environment would change over time when the green elements grow and seasons change. But it can also enable assessing other than visual impacts. If we provide semantic information in the model, for example, calculations about CO2 capturing and stormwater absorption. This kind of analyses are usually considered as work of experts, and the participatory activities in impact analysis phase is limited. Therefore, GreenTwins tools are clearly widening the scope of public participation and thus may increase the motivation to active citizens to participate. The fourth aspect I would like to point out is the role of citizens in city planning. We have a vision of a planning process where active citizens could contribute to planning also with their own initiatives. The need need for fostering citizen activism derive from our user research results as well. Active citizens may be a huge resource for urban planning if their input can be smoothly integrated to the planning process. The co-planning tool will support active citizens' participation in planning by providing an open and accessible tool for creating, promoting, and sharing their own ideas. They can use the tool for their own purposes and also to make initiatives for the city. And the hub can also be used by citizens themselves to gather together and collaborate. As a conclusion, I want to point out that the usefulness of the tools do not only depend on the fit between the planning tasks or citizen activities and technology. It also depends on the planning culture. It seems that there are certain aspects that fit easily to the prevailing planning culture. These include using the analytical tools for knowledge-based debate, using simulations and visualizations for assessing impact of plans, and for promoting the value of green. Even co-planning alternative plans by the citizens would fit the current practices if the plans are made within the official planning processes. But the possible misfits relate to the role of active citizens. The question is, are the cities willing and able to foster citizen activism? Do they see it politically important? If so, the bottom-up self-organizing activities has to find a place in the top-down city-led processes. I believe that culture is changing in that direction where active people are becoming more and more important in society. Inclusion is already seen as an important strategic objective in the City of Tallinn. Therefore, it is possible that also the active citizens can find the GreenTwins communicative planning support system useful for themselves. In the coming phases of our project, we will focus more on the other dimension of usefulness, namely usability, when we will be able to test the tools in real planning cases. Thank you, and thank you for our GreenTwins team also.
Thank you, Pilvi. We're really good at this.
Yes. We are some minutes late, but that's not a problem. Kristi, please tell us about Tallinn CityHUB and take all time your presentation needs.
And there's active discussion going on in the chat. So for the audience, please check out that as well and think of your own questions and comments, and we can come back to that at the later part of this session.
Yes.
Kristi, go ahead.
Yes, hi, good morning. I hope you can all see my screen now. I'm Kristi Grišakov,
Yes.
working as a researcher in Tallinn University of Technology, and also being involved in the GreenTwins pilot as a project manager and team member, especially concerning the hub development. And today I'm going to talk about the hub development in terms of the different steps we have taken to develop the hub concept and where we are at the moment in terms of designing and constructing the actual hub space, and what additional steps do we see at this point that need to be taken to have it successfully running in 2023, hopefully for years and years ahead in the future. So maybe the hub has been mentioned in the previous presentations quite extensively already, but just to recap in terms of what it is as a definition. So it is physical visualization and event space, which is located in the city center of Tallinn. And it will be equipped with advanced technology that aims to bring the main actors in urban development, such as citizens, planners, stakeholders, and municipalities into collaboration and co-creation. So we have discussed already since the introduction by Aija about the participation and collaboration. So as mentioned also by previous presentations, the co-creation and collaboration aspect is especially important for the hub. And yes, the hub is expected to open in spring 2023. So it has been now about a year since we have been developing the general concept of the hub. So what are the general steps of the hub? I'm going to take you through is, first of all, defining the actual possibilities of the hubs, because even though we have the definition of the hub and we had the general aims and some kind of general image of what the hub should be from the beginning of the project, we of course have very good examples from Helsinki, and so we have the Living Plus hub in Aalto University, which was shown also in the images of the previous presentations. Also in Helsinki City, the city planning office had different spaces which were also used to as sort of hub spaces, such as Laituri. There was later on a space in the public library building in Helsinki, and now I understand there's a new type of space being developed. But nevertheless, it was quite a crucial question in Tallinn, that what type of concept does Tallinn need for the hub? So what is the most useful concept in terms of the GreenTwins project, the needs of Tallinn city, and the needs of citizens and various stakeholders that's going to start to use this hub. So first of all, I'm going to talk you about the background research we did regarding the different possibilities. First of all, as said already, in the GreenTwins, we are also developing different digital tools to support the collaboration. But why is physical space still needed? One might ask, because as you see also here, we are online already. However, the physical space still is relevant because it is reducing the technology adoption barrier. So even though the hub space that is developed in Tallinn and that is used, for example, is existing in Aalto University has technology, then of course the different hub spaces also provide different opportunities for collaborations, also options without technology. And even if you're not maybe familiar with technology, you can learn about the different technological options. And of course, the physical spaces also increase discussion, raise mutual understanding in a different way than maybe is possible in a digital space. And of course, if we have a space which is accessible to everybody in the city of Tallinn, then it can also reduce segregation between different groups. So the physical space seems to be still very much needed for different reasons, where people can access at different times and also physically come together to discuss different topics. As the background research, we were looking into different examples around the world, what this hub could be and should be. And we discovered that actually there's quite a lot of variety in terms of how hubs are organized. Are they more technology driven? Are they more community driven? Who maintains the hubs? Who organizes the program? So how as an organization, let's say, they work. So there's actually quite a big variety from which to choose from, and it was very relevant for the GreenTwins project that we discussed the different options quite thoroughly. So we don't just let's say copy one example that seems to be more desired or more known, but we evaluate the different opportunities. But just some examples here of what it means exactly to be technology driven or community driven. So as you see already with technology, there's quite a variety of different options that could be used within the hub. So we have of course different options for data integrations, where actually different varieties of screens that can be used for visualization can be used. There's also 2D interactive screens. There is tangible interactive technology, so different type of let's say 3D models and different types of interactive models you can work with, which kind of augment the very traditional physical models that are often used in urban planning. And then there's also different VR opportunities together with projection screens that can be used for, let's say, more immersive experience than the previous examples here on the slides, because you can, let's say, really walk within that environment together with other participants who are also wearing the headsets and have a shared discussion, or also within this future modeled environment about what it should contain. Secondly, there was also quite extensive discussion over the hub being actually stationary or mobile, and this was especially very relevant discussion we needed to have with our partners from City of Tallinn. And that was one of the very crucial questions, actually, that should we have a hub space which is in one physical location in the city center, or would it be actually more needed that the hub should be mobile, that it could go actually to where the discussions need to be held. So in the area in Tallinn city, in different city districts where actually the developments are going on. So we could ensure that there's a wider range of participants that can join the discussion and get the needed information. Of course, the mobile options have certain kind of restrictions, and during the era of the Corona crisis, we were also very much aware of that of course this kind of more the mobile hub always means that the space can also be more restricted. So whether we have, for example, a van or a bus or a container, you can maybe not have so many people inside there at once. But of course, the mobile hub can also be considered as a set of technology then that can be set up in any other room, such as the city district government meeting hall, or some other space which is relevant for the community where you can have those discussions. And then this brings basically us to the key choices of how the hub should be. So whether it should be stationary or mobile, what kind of technology it uses, and then also how is it managed, and how open it is to different communities who want to use this space, who need to use this space, or is it more organized in terms of let's say different activities that the experts from the city and different planning experts want to use the hub for. Then a little bit about the needs as well. Pilvi already talked about the extensive user research. So for the hub as well, we had different workshops, so with experts, with citizen activists, with researchers regarding defining the key needs and requirements for the hub of Tallinn. There was a specific separate workshop with Tallinn city planners and the strategy department of Tallinn and the urban planning department of Tallinn, really defining and trying to understand how the planners of the city need and want to use this space, so they would be actively involved from the very beginning. We also, based on those workshop results, then first of all developed different concept scenarios for this hub, from which then the final concept of the hub was developed in last autumn. And I would say here the very important additional point is also that, of course, we can very well define the more general needs and aims of the hub together. But then when it comes to actually using and imagining how this technology will be used within the hub, and we intend to use the VR technology with the projection screens, similar to also what you saw in the Living Plus Hub pictures, then I think the technology discussion and the needs regarding technology have been really the most difficult ones, because the future users, both for the planners and the citizens, they often do not have a reference point in terms of what that would mean and how they would use it. So we see very clearly that also in regards to the hub development, we need to do this kind of soft testing during now the interim phase of previous to constructing the hub, and then also a series of, let's say, soft openings where we can really work with the users and the technology in action, because this is quite difficult thing to define beforehand if you do not have a reference point. And that actually applies also to GreenTwins researchers and our partners from the City of Tallinn as well, that also within the project we have been going to the XR Center of Tallinn University of Technology. We had one workshop also in the Living Plus Hub in Aalto, because also the researchers often maybe have some reference point from other cities around the world, but we ourselves also needed to have an actual experience with what that type of space using different types of technologies would actually mean, and what are the possibilities of the different options. Then regarding the spatial opportunities, of course, when we had the concept scenarios and the general idea ready, then of course the reality also hits in a sense that you need to find then a suitable place from the city of Tallinn. So in our case, it was decided that we would prefer a space in the city center. That was something very evident from the user research, that it would be one physical city center location. But then again, you also have to check different practical opportunities to what kind of spaces are available in the city, how easy they are to change into the space and to provide the opportunities you would like to have in the hub. The spaces we were also looking at, they had quite different characteristics in terms of their overall feeling, how you could change them, all the way down to also practical questions like what is the actual rent, because that is also sometimes relevant. So this is the final location where our hub space is going to happen. So currently it's in a phase where we have all of the agreements made. So it's now a space that will be in interim use for the next 6 months while we are putting together the more exact design drawings. And then after that, it will go to construction and will be then opened, let's say, first as soft openings and then afterwards as hard openings in the spring of 2023. Yes, so these are the phases where we are at the moment. So we have defined the concept, as said, late autumn last year, and now proceeding to the interior design and construction, and of course also obtaining the technology for that particular space. And then finally, what I think is also relevant to say, that although we have now a clear aim and concept in regards to the kind of central hub space, the user research and also the prioritization workshops we have had have also revealed that there's actually a lot more to do. So other topics that come up from from solving when you have solved the question of this key physical location and design, then actually you also need to deal with additional questions. So for example, the hub curation and program, so developing in collaboration with our partners from Tallinn how it will actually be managed and how we can put together a program for both the interim use and then the post-opening use, so it would be successful and actually fulfilling all of the targets. And I think in Tallinn city context, it's also important to note that it's the European Green Capital Year 2023, so HUB also has quite an important role in that program. And then in addition, we are also thinking about additional elements such as urban magnet competition, which would be competition for developing installations, which would be physical installations in the city of Tallinn, inviting people to the hub space to collaborate and also inviting people to participate. As well as the question of the hub's, let's say, online content, that if we have physical content and technological content in the future hub site, then how much information and in what way should also be simultaneously present in online format. So let's say that to which extent the hub also needs to be hybrid in the end, because it is quite clear that we are not going to go back to the pre-COVID era regarding only having participatory and collaborative processes in a physical setting. So this is the journey so far, and we continue then this year with more detailed designs towards then the successful opening of the hub in 2023. Thank you.
Thank you.
We were just saying that now please conclusion, although I gave you as much time needed, but Matti is more precise in timing. So discussion, we have the official discussion starters from City of Tallinn, Anna Semjonova and Ivari Rannama. Please start your questions or discussions, and others can prepare also to discuss.
Thank you. Maybe I start then.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to thank you all, Viktorija, Aija, and Pilvi and Kristi, for these presentations. And also we have had a very good cooperation during this project. So it was good to watch it over, and I think first Aija very well said that if you do the things for participatory planning or make the actions, we have to have a goal, what we want to achieve, or in planning, in which way we go, or what sort of information we want to have.
Ivari, can you, sorry for interruption, can you maybe switch off your camera because your audio is breaking?
Okay.
Like
anyway, I'm not beautiful, so I can switch off the... I hope you can hear me better now.
Maybe a bit better. Let's try to...
Okay. So what I wanted to say, that when we are making different kind of participatory events or using tools that we have to have our goal in mind, that this is just one step during our road. So and Viktorija very well also showed the tools that this is like in the middle step, that it's very important when we have mapped the stakeholders and have our goal. We have to have and then define it to ourselves all the time. for example, in the detailed planning process, that in the end we want to find the best solution in that area, what works and what we can build it up later, and to find this right tools, also right tools in the different steps of the planning process, that if we are also in the vision stage, or we are just or already in the end of making some details, put it in place. So I like this slide very well, like diamonds. It's like service design 2 times 1 way, that go wide and then go like together again. And very well, also Pilvi said the interactive tools, but what we are doing, we are like doing this toolkits or tools for use, that some are for interactive use, and also very important that we map the user needs, and what we have done here a lot. So what we developed during this project is really needed and useful. And this is very important. I have also been in different kind of projects that there is a technology, but it's hard to use, or the user group do not uses it. So this is very, very important. And also the aspect of the culture, how much we want to involve. I think in Estonia or in Tallinn also we are like making or moving to in doing this cultural change. Also when we are watching our strategy 2035, in center of this strategy are our citizens, the quality of the city space, the quality of the life. So and also to involve them in the process is more and more. Like we are doing for example, the budgeting for the residents. So this is I think this project supports us as a city moving in that road. So and Kristi's this hub concept also, I think this is good timing. I hope 2023 we are not so restricted anymore, our being together in physical space. So I hope that we have no restrictions when we are opening, even if we have this first maybe piloting already. This is also very important to this intermediate use of the hub space. Does it work? What doesn't work to understand it? And maybe one idea in the end, before I give floor to Anna also for commenting that when we map this hub concept or what we want to be, is it there? So very, very important aspect for me was also that how people will feel when they come, but we want to be there. We want to be that they feel free. It's not so official. So it's like cozy or something like that. The environment has to also support it. The room design, all the concept over there. So it's different room, for example, that we have in city office, like briefing center at the moment. So these are the aspects. There are a lot of them that we have to think to make it work together. So these are my comments, maybe without the picture. So Anna.
Yeah, thank you, Ivari. From my side also, at first, big thank you for the presenters. Very inspiring, and a lot of thoughts came up in my mind. And of course, yes, urban planning and engagement, it is it is a very, very huge process. There are a lot of target groups and interest groups and stakeholders who want to have their saying during the urban planning process, and this participatory toolkit that Viktorija presented is very useful. I have studied it earlier also. It really gives you an overview of all the different possibilities that it holds, both the traditional methods and more new technological methods. And yes, it is very important that we integrate all these new waves and novel methods into urban planning, because it does not only help collaboration with active citizens, but I feel that it gives us an opportunity to reach new target groups who haven't had their saying in urban planning earlier, perhaps maybe more younger generation, because all these interactive tools, they are very playful and fun to use, and maybe by that we can get more closer to them. And yes, of course, our CityHUB, Tallinn CityHUB that we're developing, I'm looking very forward to that, that we have this space where people will get the habit to visit us, to talk with urban planners, to see what are the main development areas of Tallinn and what is the strategy, if they are not familiar, what is the strategy of Tallinn and the new visions and the goals that we have set, because the information in information society that we live in, there are so many news and to orient in that. So it is important, yes, that we have this one space where we can vision the future. But I agree that maybe we should start small, not to bring into our new CityHUB all the novel technologies, that the possibilities that we have. Maybe we just like to start with communicating that we have that kind of space, and that school children groups can visit us, and people will start to trust urban planners and architects, because very often we get this negative feedback or criticism regarding that. But yeah, all this VR and AR, of course, is the future, and it is a very useful way how to present a new future space, because by using VR, people can experience the new urban space that we're developing, and this experience creates emotions and feelings that this traditional 2D maps doesn't support. So yeah, and of course in the first presentation there was mentioned that these new tools don't only support participation, but also support urban planners in analyzing all the information and data that we collect. And I see that this is also very important, because engagement and the data that we get from that, it is huge. And the analyzing and the analyze phase is huge, and how to present it afterwards is sometimes very tricky. Present in the way that people understand the results, what is taking into account and what is not.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you for the comments also from Tallinn side.
Yeah, we have something like 40 people in this whole session, so please please make your questions by raising your hand or writing in chat. There is also quite a lot of discussion in chat. Well, it's sort of core people's internal discussion, but don't hesitate. There's of course your specialists, your researchers, your city developers. When I see the name list, but then of course you are, or most of you are residents in your own area. Perhaps you have been activists, or I mean, you have all kinds of angles to this subject. So feel free to ask anything. Maybe you can be critical.
Maybe we can start with a discussion that we have seen on chat. So maybe Pilvi, could you summarize a little bit of this discussion that's been going on?
Utility and usability.
Internally in the chat.
Definition.
Internally, okay, thank you. It was actually also public, if you mean about this discussion about the concepts of usability and utility, which maybe was a little bit confusing in my presentation. That's not a surprise because those concepts are quite near to each other, but maybe just to clarify why I used the utility and usability to describe the usefulness is that those both are used in the human-computer interaction research, and also in the research of planning support systems. It's often used, the utility concept, to describe exactly the quite narrow thing, how the tools, functionalities or features can fit to the user's task, and this is of course often in planning support system research discussed in relation to planning work, so the tasks of planners. And when we bring then the public to this discussion, it maybe have to discuss about activities rather than tasks when people are participating. But maybe the main thing here is that I use these concepts just to describe and make the difference between the utility and usability, so that at this point, when we don't actually have the tool or the prototype to test it, we are not able to test the usability, the actual usability, how the user is able to accomplish a task or a goal with the tool. So at this point, we may be only able to discuss about the utility, the features, the planned features, and the fit between activities and goals.
So the utility is about whether it's the right tool, and then the usability is about whether it's easy to use or not. Is that?
You could say so, I think. Yeah.
Sort of street boys version.
I have to simplify things. My brain is not very good, so.
Yeah, but
I mean, I think it's nicely said.
Yeah, and the usability is so sort of general term used quite vaguely. So it's also in that sense, it's good to make sort of more precise or sort of pre-usability term for your purpose.
You had a question in mind.
Yes, totally different thing, sort of bigger scale. I've understood, at least in Finland, but also globally, public authorities have huge difficulties to define the monetary value of public spaces and well, bridges also, but green areas and existing green areas and maintenance of those. I've heard stories how City of Helsinki had difficulties to define what's the value of a bench in a park. so well, that was 10 years ago. Probably they have proceeded with that level. But anyway, well, am I slow? I try to accelerate. I try to accelerate. So the value definition of public areas is difficult. So how you can indicate to citizens in the sort of the value of different choices, for example, or should there be more forest or park or different kind of land use, and if the public authorities do not know the monetary value of those things, so how you can indicate that to your people participating in your sessions.
Value to the citizens.
Yeah. Or in simple monetary value, then the value for citizens is of course another. Or are you interested at all from this kind of sort of municipal economy perspective? This question goes to all GreenTwins people, to be precise. Fabian is smiling, perhaps you have something to say.
Yeah, I had a discussion yesterday with a colleague from Politecnico di Milano, who is actually working on exactly these topics. What is the value of certain measures? How can we use digital twins for this? And well, we are focusing on kind of a potential research collaboration in this. So that should become also part of GreenTwins. But maybe some other people in the group have already kind of certain ideas, but I think it's important to measure kind of somehow the impact of this interventions or also planning of urban green. But Viktorija, you have your hand raised, maybe you have the answer.
Well, yes, I have a very speculative answer. Of course, I haven't done research in that area, but just from my personal opinion, and it can be backed up also by some data, I think, just look at the real estate prices. So, and you will find out that the apartments which are closer to the recreation area or good quality public spaces, their value is usually 20–30% more expensive. And if they have the view over the green area, so the price of the apartment, even a very bad quality apartment, is just skyrocketing. So I think this is a very simple indicator. You don't need even to make any calculations. And if we do such research, I think we will find evidence that this correlation is very strong. Unfortunately, yeah, and also another thing I wanted to point out that if we're speaking about land plots, just the developers are fighting for the land plots which are close to these green areas, but the trick is that very often real estate developers who develop in these areas close to parks and other recreational areas, they get super profits from selling the apartments, but only little share of that is invested back or is given back to the city, because city develops these areas from the budget money. So I think it also would be a challenge how to kind of benefit from giving the building rights, how to bring these benefits back to the city, how to invest them in new public spaces and in developing new green areas. So that was my point. Maybe somebody else has other opinion concerning the topic.
Thank you. No further hands raised. Or did somebody have something to say? Ivari?
I see that Aija and Marketa have hands, but yeah, we don't have exact models to calculate like how much it costs, but we value it all so that when we are doing the detail plans or etc., we see that we have to keep the greeneries, the forest, and in some cases how municipality can be sure that it will stay there a longer time. Also, that if there are bigger plans, we just take out the plots that is given to municipalities, for example, where the greenery will stay. But of course, that in somehow this is like cost for the municipality for maintenance, but this is in benefits for all of the residents. One in our strategy also, one key criteria is the closeness of greeneries. for residents, and accessibility to greeneries. This is very important. So in any how.
And then we have Marketta and then Aija have raised your hand. So
yes.
Marketta, let's go ahead first.
Thank you. I just wanted to point out here that perhaps many of you are aware that there is a very big research area where people have studied landscape values and actually mapped these values on like marking on site very many different types of values. Actually, there is a list of 13 or 14 values that are often used here, and there are values like economic value, future value, recreational value, life-sustaining value, learning value, intrinsic value, etc., etc. So this has been studied very much.
Thank you, Marketta, and please, Aija.
Yes, okay, I think Marketta covered very nicely the question of value, because we very easily think about monetary values, but there are so many other values in a way which also play a crucial role in when we talk about our urban environment. The least of them is not the trust or belonging in the society, which are very big questions, and it's very difficult to put to monetary values. On the other hand, there is in real estate business, they are very I think aware of the impact on prices, for example, the nice views or the accessibility to green areas. So there, it's the question of values. It's a very wide, and I think Marketta very nicely put it all those different kind of approaches which our research can offer. Not GreenTwins, we are not operating on that side, but in the field so widely thought.
Okay, so you're valuing more the value than cost in municipal budget. I understand it. Now I probably
maybe I would like to also say emphasize what Ivari nicely put, that there is also a cultural change maybe in the city of Tallinn. So it is the biggest societal cultural atmosphere, how the public sphere is experienced by citizens, and this participation and the value of people's participation is very strongly related to that, the questions of trust and belonging in the society. And so it's very nice to hear that the city of Tallinn is really actively also working on this kind of direction.
Thank you. And there's, I see, discussion about the citizens themselves and different categories or groups, and I think it was in Pilvi's presentation that was mentioned that one of the focus groups is active citizens, and now there's discussion about the passive citizens and their role in development. I think this is also a very interesting topic. So related to your project, are they going to be reached out to? So not the activists, not the most vocal and loud citizens, or is it just a matter of your project scope that they're not in the fit, and how is it different to participate not so active citizens compared to active citizens? Anybody care to take this very easy question? Kristi has a hand.
I could somehow comment. Yeah, sorry.
Kristi.
Kristi,
no.
Yes, please.
And then Aija.
I actually had an old end, so I just to finish the public space and greenery discussion, I just had a remark that when we had the participatory budgeting vote this year, so citizens vote, they voted for their budget. The winner was also to have more greenery, so more urban trees. And so just as a remark that this is also something valued in different ways, but also in terms of using the actual participatory budget that citizens have in Tallinn. And that was, I think, quite not a big surprise, but it was a surprise that this was the winning vote. But yeah, that's a side note. But yeah, just if I would answer about the different user groups, then I think what was brought out regarding the youth, that's very important. And I think we discussed a little bit about that last week when we had also the Finest forum event, because usually, especially with let's say different questionnaires and participatory methods which are kind of going through social media, we often end up with reaching this kind of group of millennials, I would say. So I would say especially also reaching the youth is super important, and I think this is something which these tools are enable us to do much more. And there has been also different tests which we mentioned before, the bus stops and the QR codes, but I think also the technology we have in the hub, and I think the youth using the hub is something that we have discussed very intensively in the GreenTwins project. And then the second question in relation to Tallinn is, of course, it's a multilingual city, and we have inhabitants almost half and half in terms of Russian speakers and Estonian speakers. And that's, I think, also a key question to whether this visualization is enough, or should there be something extra in terms of also ensuring that the communication is happening in both of the languages, so everybody can participate, because always with these participatory processes, that's often one of the main concerns, that some questionnaires reach only the Estonian citizens and not the Russian-speaking citizens, or vice versa. So there are very clear borders in terms of how the communication channels themselves are set up. And this is definitely a quite big challenge we have been discussing also within GreenTwins.
Thank you, Kristi. Yeah, now
brutal man. Yeah, go ahead.
She took a breath.
No, I was done. I was done. I'm sorry. I have scared you already with my.
Thank you. And now please, Aija. You have probably several thoughts in your mind.
Yeah, something about this inclusiveness, and I think it's a serious ethical question also for us as researchers when we are developing this very advanced technology, and on the other hand we are talking about participation. So there is always this, in a way, we have to be critical on this question, that to whom do we develop this, and is it really inclusive, and how. I think Kristi took very nice points here where we really could get advantages. Also, Margeta Kyttä's group has shown that this technology enables new groups to come to the discussion of urban environment. But still, there are those groups, we talk about this technological device, the gap between those people who are not able to use technology. So it is an ethical question, and there is some kind of need for balancing between the advanced technology and inclusiveness, but we try to also work on that, and that's also why those usefulness studies and work with users and discussions is very important.
Thank you, Aija. And it seems that Pilvi and Viktorija have unmuted themselves, so I assume they are willing to say something as well. Pilvi, let's start with you.
I could maybe add only that in the GreenTwins project, we have noticed the challenge that we are not able to reach the more passive citizens to the development of these tools, which is quite natural. We are getting users that are active in many ways. But in the future, in the next phases, we have to focus also on the other citizen groups, and we will do it. And I think we are able to do it better when we have the prototypes that we can test with, and also the hub will provide a nice environment for testing, I hope.
Thank you. And Viktorija?
Yes, as I pointed out also in my presentation, that planning and participation in planning is not only about collecting the data, but in a way activating the community. So maybe sometimes through the events you didn't manage to collect the data, or data that you tried to collect is not doesn't fit to serve as an input for the plan. But nevertheless, the community members, they know that planning is going on, that they can participate. They're building their networks. At least this is something that happened in Riga 10 years ago. So the city launched some participatory activities, and although the data collection maybe was less successful than they expected, still these activities kind of launched this community building process, and the same is happening in Tallinn at the moment. And let's hope that the hub space that we are developing will attract also those people who are currently passive. But I wanted to add also that for the hub, hopefully there will be also some magnets developed, or there will be some sort of a mobile hub which will be installed in the community, so that we will bring participation to the community. So this mobile hub or some sort of magnets will be installed within local centers and also attract more people, raise awareness, show that some processes are going on, and attract more people. Yes, true.
Thank
that
you.
was the point.
Thank you. I think our time is about to be up. Perhaps one last general question. You have this GreenTwins large-scale pilot, as we call it in Finest Center or Finest Twins project. So when are you ready? When do we have the final results of this?
If I expand,
pilot?
when and where we expected to see some results? So how can we follow up what's going on? And when to expect something from your side? Always a difficult question for a project.
Easy to ask and hard to answer. That's why we are asking and you're answering.
And I'm not as interested in a final report as in
But
bits
sort
and
of
pieces.
substantial.
Please, go ahead.
The answer.
The project ends in the end of May 23. We are ready at that moment, and before that,
All right. We
hope that we can open the hub, the grand opening of the Tallinn hub, and that will serve, I hope, the whole community as a platform and demonstrator. All those. So in that occasion event of the grand opening, that's my dream, that we can demonstrate that the work we have been doing. So, but it is work in process at the moment.
Will this happen, the grand opening, just before the deadline, or is that something that
no,
we can
spring, as Kristi said, spring 23, and we were very happy of this green capital decision, which it really, I think it was very important for this, I mean, to concretize this hub development, and I'm personally expecting quite a lot of that, and I think it has been a very happy thing to our whole project that this green capital is happening at the same time when we are in a way presenting our results of the project. So it is in a happy coincidence in a way, or I don't know whether it is a coincidence. City has been active, of course, also in applying for the green capital. So, but that at least what it looks like to us. Very good.
All right, Matti is very good closing things. So please close this.
Yes.
Also.
Thank you, Aija, and also thank you, Pilvi, for putting up a link. So for those of us who are not that patient and are not willing to wait until May 2023, so apparently at Facebook there's a page for GreenTwins project. So from there, I assume there will be some up-to-date information on what's going on with the project. So I will definitely be checking that out. And since there's other links posted by Anna-Ilu also in the chat, so please check out all of the social media of the Finest Center, particularly check out the YouTube channel, and this broadcast will be updated as a video very soon on that channel as well. So sign up for our YouTube channel and check out all of the other social media as well. And
that was very good closing. You were Matti Hämäläinen from Forum Virum Helsinki. I'm Kalle Toskalier from Aalto University Research Coordinator of this project. And you're the, what's your title? It's the Innovation Lead. Yeah. Handsome. All right.
Yes. Thank you very much to all the speakers, all the participants, and I hope to see you at the next Research and Innovation Seminar in just a few weeks.
Thank you.